information, we can see that the SA20 is better than the IPL. My name is Mark Laithwaite. I am a South African cricketer who has recently moved to the UK. I'll be comparing the SA20 and the IPL in 5 main categories. Those categories are going to be crowd participation, big overseas players in the competition, new or unique rules that the competition has introduced, young talent developed in that country, and number 5, the impact on cricket that the competition has had. Let's get straight into number 1, crowd participation. So it is obviously vital for a T20 competition to have good crowd participation. The crowd creates the atmosphere and the buzz in the stadium. The SA20 has created great crowd participation. Firstly, by creating this Betway catch challenge, where if you take a one-handed catch in the crowd, you win your share of 2 million rand. Also due to full stadiums because the tickets were cheaper, as well as the weather being really good for the competition. People were out, they were having braais, they were in the swimming pools. There was a good atmosphere in the stadiums throughout the SA20. That is why, for crowd participation, I'm going to give the SA20 a solid 8 out of 10. The IPL is obviously known for its crowd participation. They always sell out stadiums. There's an amazing atmosphere. And because India is such a cricket-loving nation, they really get behind their franchises that they support. Because the IPL is so world-known and so popular in India, crowd participation is on another level to the SA20. That is why, for the IPL, I'm giving crowd participation an extremely good 9 out of 10. So, for this round, the IPL wins. So category 2, the overseas players taking part in the competition. So the SA20 drew in some big names from across the globe, and we saw the likes of Jason Holder, Owen Morgan, Jos Buttler, Adil Rashid, Rashid Khan, James Neesham, Liam Livingston, Jason Roy. The list goes on and on. But sadly, this cannot yet compare to the IPL's list of overseas players. Because the competition has grown so much over the years, and there's so much money involved in the IPL, they can draw in top talent from around the world. I think since it was the first season of the SA20, I think that the overseas players that they got in were still very impressive. And I think that was a good step for the SA20. And let's hope in the years to come, more and more can be drawn in. But again, I'm afraid that the IPL wins this category. SA20, 6 out of 10. IPL, 10 out of 10. Don't think you could get any better. Category number 3 is new or unique rules that the competition has introduced. So obviously, as a T20 competition, they need to try and introduce their own rules or own unique spin on the game, just to change things up a bit. There are so many T20 competitions nowadays that I feel it's important that a competition provides its own spin on things. Now I think that the SA20 has done this well. It hasn't drastically changed the game. It has introduced some very successful new rules, such as being able to select the team after the warm-up. I think this has worked really well, and so has the bonus point system that they've used. So they've used a different bonus point system where if you win and your run rate is 1.25 times the opposition's, then you get a bonus point. And in a recent interview, Kevin Peterson actually said that the IPL can implement some of these new rules. He thinks that they've benefited the game and that IPL should be following suit. I'm going to give them a 9 out of 10. I think they've done a superb job. As for the IPL, the IPL obviously has almost defined the T20, what a T20 league should look like. I want to focus on a very interesting new rule which we could see in IPL 2023. They are introducing what is called an impact player rule. Now, I don't know whether this rule is going to be a success or not, but it is definitely going to change the way that the tournament runs. And I think ultimately, if it's a success, other T20 competitions will follow in its footsteps. So this could be a huge breakthrough. That being said, the IPL, for me, is going to get an 8 out of 10 in this category, meaning that SA20 has won something. Brilliant. I think it's done really well in this regard. Let's see if the IPL adopts some of the SA20's new rules. So category number 4 is an extremely important one, and it is developing young talent. One of the biggest goals of these T20 competitions is to develop young talent in the country. Now, yet again, I think that both the SA20 and IPL are doing this extremely well. Obviously, we haven't seen what the SA20 has done long term, but we can see which young players have done really well so far. And just to mention a few names, I think that for Tristan Stubbs at the age of 22 to be the highest paid player in the SA20 is huge, and that'll really build his confidence, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the next few years. And then Ethan Bosch had an unbelievable tournament, picked up young player of the tournament, so he's definitely one to look out for at the young age of 24. And then of course, the boy that everyone's been talking about, T20 Brevis. I think that in the following years, he'll really be able to showcase that special talent that he has in this SA20. Just as a little side note, I have played against T20 Brevis in Maritzburg College versus Afis. I have bowled him, so maybe I got into his head. That's why he didn't do well. Anyway, moving on, the IPL. Now, the IPL obviously has shown us over the last few years that it can develop extremely good young talent. There have been many cases. Yet again, don't want to go through them all because we will be here all day. Over the years, it's really proven that it can do it on a consistent basis. I have to give the IPL a 9 out of 10 for its young talent developed. I think the SA20 has signs that it could do well in this regard, but at the moment, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. So the IPL wins in the young talent category. Now, category 5 is the impact that the tournament has had on cricket in the country. I'm going to start with the IPL on this one because obviously we have a bigger time frame to sort of see what sort of impact the IPL has had, and it is extremely impressive. So the IPL started in 2008, and in 2008 India were ranked 5th in ODIs. Now, as of February 2023, India are first ranked in ODIs, first ranked in T20s, and second ranked in tests. And I think that the IPL has played the biggest part in this. It has instilled a love for cricket in India that no country can compete with. And this creates so much young talent going through the ranks. SA20, I think, could have a similar impact, and I really hope it does for South Africa's sake, because at the moment South Africa are sitting 6th in the ODI rankings, 4th in the T20 rankings, and 4th in the test rankings. At this point, I can't give SA20 a high score. It hasn't had enough time, and I think we sort of maybe saw a glimpse of what it can do in the South Africa versus England ODI series, where we battered them. But yet again, it's too short a time frame to draw up any solid conclusions. So I think that yet again the IPL wins in this category with a 10 out of 10, because I just think it's made such a huge impact on cricket in the country. And SA20 for now, I'm going to say a 6 out of 10. Although, I can say that for the first time in a very long time, I can see people getting excited about cricket in South Africa. So, from all of this information, we can see that the SA20 is better than the IPL. I'm just joking, by the way. IPL is still the greatest T20 competition that the world has ever seen.
That money clip us